Hello, this is 13 coming at you with another dubstep bass tutorial. This time I'm going to be showing you how to make this bass, which of course I'm going to put the patch for in the description below. And this is what it sounds like before we get started. Okay, so that's the bass, and now how to make it. So what I started off with, let me just silence the second oscillator, turn off all the modulation, just so you can get an idea what it sounds like without any effects or filters. Okay, so first we have the speech, gentle speech, which is on oscillator 1, pitched down an octave. It's on bend minus plus, and the wavetable position's pointing just under the N. Your intensity's pointing just at the Y, and your amp's pointing all the way down. And this is what it should sound like. Okay, or it should sound like that without this. Here we go. Okay, so moving on. Next oscillator, we have the dirty throat, and that's also pitched down an octave. We have, let me turn all this off. It's also on bend minus plus, wavetable position pointing at the T, intensity at the E, amp all the way up, and both of the oscillators are here. They both should be going to filter 1, and this is what it should sound like, just that oscillator. Now if we put them together, we get, okay, excuse me, moving on. We have the modulation oscillator phasing on oscillator 2, pitched down an octave. Phase pointed at about the bottom of the percent, or of the pitch window. So with everything now it should sound like this. Noise, we don't have any of it. Feedback, no feedback. Go to insert 1, and you want to put dry and wet just a little above 9 o'clock. Drive, you want it pointing at the D, and it should sound like this. Okay, now for the filters. Double notch filter, cutoff all the way down, resonance at about 9 o'clock. So what you're going to want to do now is go to one of your LFO settings here and put it on performer. Put all of the half waves like this, ratio of 1/2, or you can change that however you wish to get different patterns. Okay, so you want it on wavetable position, intensity, wavetable position, intensity. You want it on your drive. You want it also on your cutoff. And I think that's it. So now that you have that on everything and your filter all set up, it should sound like this. Okay, moving on to the effects. Oh, also make sure your mix is all the way up and your F2 is all the way down. For effects, I have the Teletube and dry wet just under 9 o'clock. Drive all the way up, or sorry, at noon. Dimension expanders on my second channel. The dry wet is just under 9 o'clock. The size is at about 10 o'clock. And now with the effects, it should sound like this. Okay, moving on. Let's go to voicing. We want it on a unisono of 5, a mono rotate, and a legato triller. We want to have the pitch cutoff turned on, just so that you can't see the first line. Then you want to put your performer on it and drag it all the way to the end. In the oscillator tab, I don't think I did anything. Again, make sure envelope 4 is all the way up. And that should be everything. No EQ, I just EQ'd it in the effects in FL Studios. So this is what it sounds like now. And if you want to be really fancy with it, you can take a patcher and modulate the X and Y, or with the X and Y in the patcher, you can modulate the EQ channels and add some reverb on it, sausage fattener just to compress it, limiter to make sure it doesn't peak, and a wave shaper for distortion. and you can get a cool like modulated bass with that if you want to modulate it even more, which will sound like this. I'll put a tutorial later on up on how to use Patcher to modulate your EQ to get some fancy basses. But until then, thank you very much. The patch for this massive the patch will be in the description below for this massive preset. And I hope you liked the tutorial. Thanks and goodbye.